The In It Together with Lori Lynn Greene talk show is a positive way to start your day. Ready for some encouragement?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm pumped. Let's let the healing begin.
Come be inspired, hear moving stories, even laugh out loud.
Can't make heads or tail of what I'm saying.
Just incomprehensible.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
You'll hear real people doing real things to make a real impact.
You are heroes every day.
Hear honest, compassionate, engaging issues you care about.
You see people come together to do good in our community, and the more we come together, the more good we can do.
Listen in and get started on redesigning your life and hear what's positive in Greater Manchester. Here's your happy host, Lori Lynn Greene.
Good morning, friends in Greater Manchester. Welcome to In It Together. We are so glad that you've tuned in. If you'd like to find us on the web, you can go to inittogether.net, listen live or to previous shows, even link to our Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and YouTube and on and on and on. And
All the ships at sea.
And if you like and follow us, you'll see we're bringing out the best in people to influence positive change in this community and beyond. Today is It's a Wonderful Life with coach, speaker, and executive director of the John Maxwell team, Marc Major.
Learning to lead your team today. That's what we're talking about.
All right. Well, we'll be back right after this, so stay tuned.
Marc Major knows that great coaches need constant training to be effective. As a certified coach, teacher, and speaker with the John Maxwell team, Marc can help you identify and activate your personal and professional goals. If you seek to do more and be more, look up Marc on the web at johnmaxwellgroup.com/MARC Major or call 603-674-6818. Marc Major, growing leaders and adding value.
Hi, I'm Ron Moore, anchor of the Storm Chaser segment, where we'll talk about severe weather in history, science, and today. Join me Fridays at 9 a.m. where you'll learn to be ready for any storm that comes your way. Only on In It Together with Lori Lynn Greene.
Hi, this is Lori Lynn Greene, advancement strategist and coach trainer at alphaadvancementstrategies.com. Join me Mondays at 9 a.m. where I'll talk about ways to help keep you moving forward in life. Only on In It Together with Lori Lynn Greene. Welcome back to In It Together, kicking off It's a Wonderful Life, and it sure is with Marc Major. Good morning, Marc.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm fabulous.
It's a great life.
It is. It's really the state of our mind, like how we think about it, right?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because I was reading something yesterday that was talking about just that. In fact, it was yesterday and also this morning. The common theme in my Bible readings the last couple of days has been not to let outside circumstances rule your life. You got to live from the inside out, from spirit.
Absolutely. I think that's underestimated, like my words.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not sure what my husband is sending here, but he posted something funny. It's unrelated. Anyways, good morning, everybody that's on the live stream.
Yeah.
And those who are listening via podcast, we welcome all of you. We appreciate your input, your comments. Please feel free to ask questions if there's something that...
Jump in, because I love to hear feedback from people and get different points of view. That's why I love doing like mastermind groups and things like that, because everybody comes from a different background and has different things to share. So I love that.
You know, the whole concept of In It Together is, like you said, we're having this conversation and we're talking about certain topics. But what I've learned is that the more people you get in on a conversation, the more, I guess you could say, the more positive people
Yeah.
you get in on a conversation, the more we can learn and add from each other and grow. And I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So we also want to give the number. So if you're listening via podcast, you can call us 603-384-3535. Actually, anybody can call. And if you're on the live stream, what does it mean to lead your team? How do today we're talking about how to lead your team. If you have some things that work well for you as we're talking, please post them. We want to share them with everybody.
Exactly. So It's interesting when you get into the subject of leading your team. You know, a lot of people can be really good individually, but it takes special effort in being intentional about really knowing and getting to know people to really lead a team effectively. Think about an orchestra. You could be like a world-class violin player, right? Like nobody can touch you playing the violin. But now you're put in the position of being the conductor. That's
well,
tough.
Actually, I really love that you said being an orchestra, because when I think about a team, being someone who has I've played on worship teams for 20 years. So playing instruments, singing, and I'll tell you, if you ever hear an orchestra, it's just beautiful. But if one person's out of tune,
right,
it's just like what,
right?
And this is where we're learning how to flow together and work together so that it benefits all. Because one bad apple can ruin a bunch.
Right, exactly. Getting back to being a conductor, think about what a conductor does. I always think of one of my first conductors that I really followed in love with was Arthur Fiedler back in the day, conducting the Boston Pops. But and then it was John Williams, and it's gone on from there. But all the great conductors are able to. They know what every instrument is supposed to be playing at the time to make everything fit in perfectly. And that's the same thing with your team. Think of everybody's talents and gifts as a different instrument, right? When you bring all the individual talents and gifts, and not only that, but slot people in the right places, put people where their strengths are. Mm-hmm. A lot of times people hire, and that starts with the hiring, right? A lot of times people hire to fill a position, but you might be hiring for somebody who's a good person, but they don't necessarily fit in that position you're hiring for. They might be better somewhere else. So don't be in a rush to fill a position. Be in a rush to be intentional about putting the right people in the right spots.
So there's what I call a natural talent, and then there's a learned talent, and there's a don't bother talent.
Right.
I mean, I'm thinking about this, because I know organizations. Sometimes they'll have people in spots, and everybody's responsible doing the same.
Right.
That you have to do your job no matter what. All the cashiers have to do this certain job. And then I find that there are some who just keep messing up in the same place over and over.
Right.
Now, most of them, you could probably train them.
Right.
Some of them just can't walk and chew gum. They just
Right.
can't. So what do? You fire them, or do you find somebody to back that up?
Find something they can, or find something that they are good at. Find something that
Well,
they
I mean, they're
enjoy.
good at the job
Right.
except for one aspect. So,
Right.
So do we bring somebody in that aspect
Mm-hmm.
to help with that, or
Or give them more time, or sometimes you just have to replace them maybe in that spot, but find something they are really good at, and they do well in all phases.
Okay.
Because as you're saying, they're great. They could be 9 out of 10, but maybe that one they're not good at really makes a difference and is detrimental to what they're trying to do. So,
Right.
and I guess the point is you have to be flexible. You have to look at each situation individually and say, is that thing fixable? Can we live with that because they're so good at everything else? Or is, like I said, is it something that is so big that if we keep that person in that position, it's not going to bode well for the company?
I tend to like to go with what's possible first. I mean, the last thing I would want to do is have somebody leave, or
Right.
have to have somebody leave. So I'm thinking maybe we can work around it. Maybe do things a different way than you would normally do it. And I know that takes a little bit of extra time.
Right.
And it's like, well, how come you're doing it for this person and I'm doing the same job or getting paid the same thing or whatever? That's a tough call. It can be a really tough call.
Well, that's where it's up to the leader to be able to sit down with everybody and say, here's why.
Yeah.
And look at the big picture. Because when you're looking at the big picture and what's good overall for everybody, you have to go from, I know what John Maxwell says, from me to we. How does it affect me to how does it affect the whole group? And that's what you really have to look at. And as the manager, leader, conductor, you have to look at the overall picture in line with your goals, what you're trying to accomplish. Right. And, the other thing that I find interesting, too, is say you have a little bit larger company and you have different projects going on all the time. Somebody who's a leader for one project might not be a good leader for a different project, so maybe it's a different leader coming in. And for people to have that flexibility and humility, in a sense, to understand that I'm strong in this position and I need to lead this group, but Lori, you might be the person that we need to lead this other group because I don't have those strengths.
Sure.
You know?
And that's what it comes down to is
right.
Who's the right person for this job.
Mm-hmm.
And there's really no room for, I think the world has a lot of hierarchical sense.
Right.
It's like, if this person gets it, then they're going to be up for the next job or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And we do want to stand out and stuff, but it's more about the quality of our work.
Right.
And as you and I talk about all the time, when we don't leave this aspect out, the spiritual aspect is everything we do is unto the Lord. We do it with all our heart. And that way, we're not disappointed or we're not discouraged or we're not upset because somebody else does well. As a matter of fact, we want to be always happy for the person that's doing well.
Well, exactly. And I know this morning, as I was spending some Bible time, I've been into Colossians. And in fact, that very chapter came up today. I think it was chapter 11, talking about we all have different gifts. Mm-hmm. And the Lord gives everybody different gifts. And the key is to find out what are your best gifts and talents, and to use those to the full.
Yep.
And so we bring those into play, again, as the conductor, as the leader. One of the things that I find that works really well is helping people, have them take these assessments like DISC and all those different things. And not only have them take them, but look at the results, and that'll give you a little bit of an indication of where their gifts and talents are, what their personalities are. I mean, certain personalities aren't necessarily cut out to be leaders.
Well, here's another thing, though. Here's what I've learned. There are born leaders and learned leaders, like I said before. Mm-hmm. I spent many, many years in this personality thing. And one thing I learned about it is when you do an assessment on this, it tells you where they are.
Right.
And it doesn't mean they can't grow. It doesn't mean they can't change. Your personalities can change.
But it gives you a starting point.
Yeah, it does. It does give you a starting point.
Well, I'll give you.
But it'll help you know how to train a certain type of personality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because somebody might need to be, I won't say yelled at, but pushed a little harder, and somebody else with a different personality needs to be coaxed along. I'm glad you're talking about being changed. I took a DISC assessment for myself probably 4 or 5 years ago because they were doing a leadership thing at our church. And I just recently took another one because the John Maxwell team is now certifying people through DISC. We have an association with them. And my profile did change slightly because I've grown in the last 3 or 4 years.
Well, and this is the thing. If you look back when I was younger, I mean, I could go through as far as major shifts in my life, I could tell you there's been about 3 or 4 that I can think of that have changed who I am as a person. All of them have to do with spiritual growth. There's no question about that. But the other one is also experience, developing skills, developing your ability to communicate, your emotional intelligence, your empathetic empathy, your ability to understand. When I think about empathy, having strong empathy, I think about being able to read things, be able to look what could potentially happen, how somebody may respond. Being able to do that. Those are skills that are developed over time. You just have a sense about things.
Right. In most things are skills. And this is probably 30 years ago. I remember sitting in a seminar with Zig Ziglar, and he was saying, okay, so if you're going to have a leader or you have somebody on your team, what are some of the things, attributes that you would like them to have? And people were shouting out, and there was maybe 30 of them that he actually put them up on the board. And he went through and said, okay, which ones are skills, which ones are attitudes? And come to find out, 99% of them were actual skills. And he says if there's skills, they can be learned.
And when to be learned, you have to really pay attention. And this is something, I do a regular Friday night group here. And one of the things that we talk about is paying attention to patterns in your life.
Right.
Not just the positive ones, but the ones, I always say don't do a to-do list, but write a stop doing list.
Right.
And the stop doing list is always whatever is keeping you from being able to move forward and where you're going. So short story long, we sit down in this group and we talk about, where was I going with that? It's in there somewhere. It'll come back.
There's things in our life that maybe make us uncomfortable, or maybe they're bad habits, and those are the things that keep us from reaching our potential. And so if you can sit and identify those things and try to eliminate them, that will open up your mind to be more free to sit. Because if you're always bothered by things that are negative in your life, you're dealing with that stuff. It's all emotional baggage. And that prevents you from really getting a good flow of thinking, of deep thinking into positive things, because you're always dealing with the garbage.
Right.
So eliminate that stuff as much as possible. Like I used to carry the weight of the world on my shoulders about everything. And now I've gotten to the point where if I'm getting in a mood that's not a good mood to be in, I recognize it within 30 seconds. And I'm like, okay, no. Okay. Deal with it, get rid of it, move on.
Okay, now I remember what I was going to say. When we recognize negative patterns of things that hold us back, something we see over and over, that's what we have to really pay attention. And then we need to say, okay, what needs to happen?
Right.
Do I have to stop doing something? Do I have to let go of something? Or do I have to learn something?
Right.
And until you do that, you're going to be in this cycle. I always say we have cycles in our life that need to be broken.
Right.
And you want to create
It's like being stuck in a whirlpool.
Right.
And you have to be able to get out of that.
Absolutely.
So, one of the keys to, working with a team, developing a team, again, it's take the eyes off yourself. The more you can do each day to add value to the team in whatever way that's possible, as people, as individuals as well, that gives them energy, and that gives you energy too, because it puts you in a good frame of mind that let's face it, when you help people, you feel good about yourself, you feel good about them, and it just lifts the energy of the whole team, because now you're setting the tone as a positive tone, as people cooperating with each other, helping each other out, and that's contagious. If you do stuff to add value to people every day and they get the feeling how good that is, they're going to want to turn around and do it for someone else. And again, that's contagious in the group, and your team is just going to start doing things that you didn't think were possible, because now they're coming together as a group, all contributing. Because once a couple people start to contribute and things start to happen, everybody wants to jump on board. It's like the old bandwagon effect, right? And everybody's feeling good about it. So now instead of the energy of one or two people really doing well, you've got the energy of maybe 40, 50, 60 people. And man, that's powerful.
No, it is powerful. And one of the biggest things I find when you're leading something is you got to realize that it starts and ends with you. Responsibility. Who's ultimately responsible? Well, if you're the leader, you are.
Right.
I don't care if they didn't do what you said. I don't care if see, and this is what I've said before, Mark. If they're not following it, it's because tell the vision in a different way.
Well, exactly.
And it gets to a point where maybe they just don't want to, and they really just tell you they don't want to.
Right.
And then you're like, well, okay, I guess this won't work then.
Yeah, because put it on you. I know when I used to lead people, whether it was in sales forces or stores, or even when I was at the Red Cross leading teams, fund development, different things. If somebody didn't quite get it, I would go to them and just say, what did I do? Did I not explain it correctly? Was I not clear as to what we needed done? Let's review it and let's look at it.
Right.
And so what happens when you do that is it takes the pressure off of them to come up with excuses right? Because usually if you have an accusing tone, why didn't you do this? Now they're going to like push back. You never want people pushing back. You want to draw them in and work together as a team. When you have an attitude that you're going to, work side by side with people, to get things accomplished as opposed to I'm the boss. We've talked about that management style. That doesn't work. You're not going to get, when you come with that attitude as a leader, people are going to work just hard enough not to get fired instead of working hard to really make things happen.
And part of that, as we've talked about this before, is I came up with a 2-1-1 method, which is something where you talk to somebody, and I'll give you an example. Somebody's not really doing what said, hey, you're doing a great job. I really appreciate how you're doing that. And then you say, I look forward to, what we're going to be doing later on. And then you can say, but hey, this part over here, we need to kind of straighten that up.
Just tweak it a little bit.
Just a little bit. And I know you're going to do a good job.
Right.
So it's like
exactly
2 positives, tell the problem, and then close it out with an encouragement.
The old sandwich technique.
Kind of thing. All right. Well, we have to take a short break, and we'll be back right after this brief message. Please support those that support us. We'll be back right after this.
Exactly.
Hi, I'm Lori Lynn Greene, Advancement Strategist and owner of AlphaAdvancementStrategies.com. I've been very successful at helping people overcome stressful situations to get immediate results in their personal and professional lives. At Alpha Advancement Strategies, we provide a non-judgmental and supportive environment, empowering clients to focus more on reaching their goals. You can find us on the web at alphaadvancementstrategies.com or call us at 603-860-9260. Alpha Advancement Strategies is where you invest in yourself.
CrossNet Inc. offers computer and IT services for commercial clients as well as local personal users. We create tailor-made plans for your business's unique needs, from computer repairs to managing networks, servers, and desktops. CrossNet Inc. offers managed services, data backups, virus protection, web filtering, and more. For more information, go to crossnetinc.com or call for your personalized IT services today at 603-589-2520. CrossNet Inc. IT services that keep your business running when you're on the run.
Hi, I'm Marc Major, certified coach and speaker. Join me Wednesdays at 9 a.m. for It's a Wonderful Life, all about leadership development and living a positive lifestyle. Only on In It Together with Lori Lynn Greene.
Hi, I'm Jen Lever, anchor of the Recovery Now segments. Join me Tuesdays at 9 a.m. where I offer support to families struggling with addiction. Hear personal stories, learn the signs of addiction, and get help for your loved ones. Only on In It Together with Lori Lynn Greene.
Welcome back to In It Together. In the midst of It's a Wonderful Life, talking about how to lead your team this morning. And we've had some great insights. Those of you who are in our audience, Facebook Live audience, I have a question I'd like to pose to you as Mark is talking here. But just curious, though, how do you lead your team? What has helped you? What have you found has been detrimental, and what has helped you? We'd like to hear some feedback from you. But go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I was going to say, as you're leading, one of the challenges you're going to face sometimes is, as leaders, we're always, great leaders, see before everybody else, and they see more than everybody else because they're leading, right?
Right.
And so our tendency is to want to run ahead of the pack. But sometimes what happens is, you have to take a step back and slow down a little bit to make sure everybody's still following you. Otherwise, you're way up in front and there's nobody behind. They always say if you think you're a leader and nobody's following, you're just out for a walk. Think about, leadership as in the success of your business as climbing a mountain, right? If you're mountain climbing and you have a guide. Well, the guide can't go, 300 yards ahead of everybody else. They have to stay back and make sure they're safe and make sure, they can only go as fast as the slowest person on the link.
And this is why we choose our team up front.
Exactly.
I'm not saying there aren't times you slow down, but honestly, in life and in business, it's keep up.
And sometimes,
Keep up.
and we talked about that last week about how quickly things are changing, and with the internet and information coming so quickly, sometimes you have to kind of hold back a little bit, but you can't hold back so much that you miss opportunities. Right. So you're right. Pick a team that can keep up with you, but still, the people that you're trying to convey the message to aren't always necessarily going to be able to keep up as fast as you want to go sometimes. So, but it's important because, and here's why, because, the cumulative efforts and potential of the group are always greater than a single individual.
Right.
Right. I always like the example of if you have one horse pulling a wagon, and now you have two, you don't go twice as fast. You probably go 3 or 4 times as fast because now you have momentum on your side.
Yeah, no, that's good. Momentum.
And so, that's what it takes. I know I want to actually look at something that I was reading this week.
Okay.
And this is from actually John Maxwell's new book called Leadership. And he says, what I said, leaders have a natural bias for action. Good leaders see more than others do, and they see before others do. It's in their DNA to move quickly and decisively, so their natural inclination is often to run fast on their own, to climb as high as they can. But to lead others successfully, leaders need to travel with the people, not run or climb ahead of them. Step ahead of people, staying close enough for them to see you. It says step beside people, listening to them and talking about the journey. And step behind people, sharing words of encouragement to keep them going. Doing this keeps you connected to your people and energizes everyone.
I want to look at that because we kind of read through that fast, but I just want to pick out a couple of points. I like that you said travel with them rather than running ahead.
Right.
I gotta admit, I've always been the run ahead person.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I go anywhere, whether it's to the mall with people or movies or to a store or somewhere,
right,
I find myself stopping in the parking lot, looking back, waiting.
Right.
And I feel like that's how I am in my life. I'm very driven, moving forward, and I've learned to do that a little too. But again, like I said, when you're with friends and stuff, that's fine.
Right.
Family, whatever. But when you're building a team, and
you're
on a mission and you want to go somewhere, you really do got to get the people who can keep up with you.
Exactly. My wife doesn't like to go out for walks with me anymore because I'm always 20 yards ahead of her. She's, wait.
Everybody always says that to me. You walk so fast. And then every once in a while, I'll find somebody that walks faster than me. And I'm like, I like this person.
Yeah, because then you're trying to keep up.
They're on a mission. It's like, why do you walk so fast?
Yeah. Actually, that's a good analogy for something else, too. If you're the fastest person in the room, you want to get another room because you're not growing. I like to keep faster company because then I'm growing, I'm learning. I have mentorship people that I work with in the John Maxwell team that I just learned so much from. And, they've been where I want to be. And so find somebody who's been where you want to get to.
I don't know anybody.
Yeah. I know a lot of people. And
I mean, I know some, but
I honestly think the reason why I've grown so much in the last 4 years being a part of that team is just the leadership and hanging around with John Maxwell himself, but some of the other people in leadership positions that mentor me. I've always been on a path of personal growth, but honestly, in the last 4 years, it's been like, warp speed as they used to do on Star Trek.
Right.
When they needed warp speed and get going.
Right.
It's my life on warp speed.
I shouldn't have said that I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody that's done exactly what I'm doing, but the principles are transferable in leadership from one place to another. And I do have somebody in my life like that. So I should have corrected myself there.
You have me.
You as well, but you and I bounce back and forth. But,
exactly.
So you say find somebody who's been where you've been. Before I started this, I was on local radio, internet radio, Voice America and WLMW. And both of those were different worlds and different ways of doing it. And I feel like it was during a transition where radios actually was going more to internet.
Right.
And so we've transitioned with that. But I did learn a lot from both of them. And to be honest, some of what I learned was what I would not do.
And that's what we were talking about earlier, about getting things out of your life that clutter and hold you back from where you want to go. You were talking about business principles, and I've actually taught on this too. I actually had a professor at UNH that used to have me come in and talk to his economics class about this. I've worked for for-profit business and for nonprofit business, and there's a lot of differences, but the similarities are like amazing. So no matter what you do, principles are principles, and those never change.
That's true. And I think a lot of people don't, and I think this could be a trap for a leader too, is, oh, well, nobody's ever done this. Nobody's ever.
It's been done.
Well, maybe not, some of the specifics of what you're doing, but the how we get to that point.
Right, exactly.
Those don't change.
Right.
Anyway, so speaking of, we're talking about.
You had some things, right? You research. Let's get into those.
Yeah, we're talking about leading, how to really lead our teams, and I was reading an article of 20 powerful ways that'll lead your team to greatness, and a couple of them stood out to me here. One is we talked about before is model accountability and teach responsibility. Teach responsibility, and so some of that has to do with not controlling people, but letting some things go, like giving people the power to do what they need to do.
Right.
And that leads me into the next one, which is give them what they need to be successful. Exactly.
Yeah. You have to give people the tools. If you have people doing a project and you don't give them the resources to back them up, that's like telling somebody, "Hey, go build the house," but you don't have a saw, you don't have a hammer, right? It's the same thing. They need whatever tools you can give them to get that task accomplished. And if that doesn't happen, all you're doing is frustrating people.
Yes. And then the next one is creating an environment that's enjoyable and fun.
Exactly. And
to me, these are foundational as far as a team goes. If people are distracted by your attitude, if they're distracted by your impatience, if they're distracted by, somebody else's, I always say this. I don't care what business you're in, especially if you're a believer, you are not in a secular business. It is that this is your church, right? You are the pastor of that thing, and you love people to where they need to go. You help grow them, or maybe it's just not a good fit, right? And that's okay.
A perfect example of that last year with the Red Sox, right? They won 108 games during the season. They won the World Series, and every player to a man pointed to Alex Cora, the manager, saying how great it was to play for him. He was a player's manager. There was a great atmosphere on the team all year, and they all had a great time playing, and that led to a lot of winning. And that's the same in corporate business.
If you were to go back and see, look at the Patriots. If you go and look at any organization that has great success, and it's not just a lucky thing.
It's sustained success.
They've got something where they've continually been able to get the results over and over and over.
Right.
And that's what we're talking about. When we lead a team, it's to continually get the results over and over and over. And we have that at different levels. Even as long as we've been here, we're 3.5, almost going on 4 years here in July. When we think about the levels, we've gotten better.
Right.
I know that we can improve, but we've gotten better. And I don't just mean, better in the show and what comes out, but as people. And as how we work together, and those things are improving.
Right.
And we have to make room for it.
You have to make room for it. And, the other thing, getting back to, the analogies we just used about the Patriots, the Red Sox, I found it very interesting, and they all kind of do this. This week as spring training opened up for the Red Sox, Brad Stevens, who's the Celtics coach, was down at spring training picking the brains of the Red Sox management. wanting to know, it's different sports, but what are the same principles as to what made them successful, what's going to help us become successful. So they have the humility to ask from each other as well, instead of just being, well, I know everything. So, I mean, that's, to have a teachable spirit, and that's biblical as well, to have a teachable spirit so that you can turn around and lead your people. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, so you just named kind of three things I'm thinking as we look at a successful organization. We said model, give them what they need, create an environment.
Yep.
But first and foremost is there's no I in team.
Right, exactly.
So the whole idea of right here, you're nobody until you bring the results.
Right.
Humility is really important there.
Mm-hmm.
No superstars, right? And then the support.
And the support. And, when I talk about a teachable spirit, and you and I do this constantly, I mean, every day I'm reading, I'm listening, I'm doing things to improve. As far as I've come, and we were just talking about that, especially over the last few years, the higher I go, the more I see that I feel like I don't know anything. Right. Compared to what I could know.
No, and that's an interesting thing. I've never heard an immature person ever say that. That's a very mature thing to say. Even as a believer and a minister myself, 20 some odd years, I go out there and I'm like, the more I know, the more I don't know, because you begin to see the picture so big that you start to realize I'm just this small thing in a very large plan.
Right.
And you know what? That's not a negative.
No,
that's a reality of that's a humble and real assessment in it. And once we realize that, then we approach things a lot differently than if we think we're somebody.
Well, first of all, we are somebody because of whose we are. And
well, what I'm saying is
I know
the
what
arrogance
you're saying,
of pride.
But here's the thing: we are all created for a specific purpose. And when we align ourselves with that purpose and get into the mind of God, like I always pray, okay, what are we doing today, God? Who do you need me to reach? Who do you need me to touch? How can I best serve you today? And when you get into that alignment, your relationships go better. I mean, everything just goes better because you're in that zone, right? Mm-hmm. And so, I always enjoy talking to business leaders who are also Christian business leaders because I think they get that.
I think for the most part, and you know what, and most people will appreciate you telling them the truth,
right,
about that. But, anyways, we are unfortunately out of time, Mark. It's been a great topic today. I encourage you, if you are leading an organization and you need help with your team, or how to handle situations or whatever, or you want a vision or figure out some goal setting, definitely give Mark a call. He'd probably be able to really help you out from his skill set and from his experience in management and things like that, and even sales. So he understands the whole shebang.
Everything in life is sales. When people tell me, oh, I can't sell, and I say, have you ever been on a date? And they go, well, yeah. I said, well, you sold somebody. Might have been a bill of goods, but you sold them.
A bill of goods.
Yeah, so people can reach me at 603-674-6818 is my telephone number. And if you call and I can't get to you right then, just leave me a message. I'll get right back to you. Or you can email me at Marc, that's Marc with a C, .major@comcast.net.
Excellent. We will be back after this very brief message. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to tell you what's coming up tomorrow, so stay tuned.
Little Leapers and Knowledge Keepers Childcare and Preschool offers learning experiences that give kids a healthy sense of self and meaningful connections to the world around them. We teach children from a positive perspective so they learn healthy conflict resolution and develop character. Owner Jennifer Lever has over 28 years' experience in child development. She's helped children learn to read as young as 18 months. Join our happy place where we make happy happen. Located in Pinardville, bordering Bedford and Manchester. Call today at 603-491-1780. Morgan Self-Storage has been serving Manchester and Salem, New Hampshire for over 15 years. Facilities are heated with security and video surveillance in well-lit hallways, easy access loading, and high-capacity elevators. With many-sized units, portable trailers, and boxes for moving, we can meet your residential or business storage needs. 400 Bedford Street in Manchester or 8 Willow Street in Salem. Visit morganstorage.com or call us at 603-623-2000. Morgan Self-Storage, making self-storage secure, safe, and easy.
Hi, I'm Bob Bola, Chief Instructor of Defensive Strategies and anchor of the Personal Safety segment, where we talk about personal protection, situational awareness, and home defense. Tune in every Thursday at 9 a.m. and refuse to be a victim. Only on In It Together with Lori Lynn Greene.
That concludes today's It's a Wonderful Life. You're going to join us tomorrow for Personal Safety Master Trainer of Defensive Strategies. Bob Bullard will be here helping us stay safe so we can refuse to be a victim. Have yourself a blessed day, and remember, we are in it together.